It's in the studio, Chris Cornell.
And I'm going to do a moonwalk.
Yeah.
Man,
That was incredible.
you can sing your ass off, my friend.
I
Truly.
That almost brought a tear. That's like almost 20 years of my life there in those little song snippets.
There's a friend of ours, he legally changed his name in 1997 to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's in our other studio, and he put that together. He can
Really?
hear Obi-Wan and say, hey to Chris, he thinks your work was incredible.
Yeah.
Right on.
Now that had to be a trip when you get, because you've been kind of, you come up through the alternative world and then the band gets huge. When did you get the call about the James Bond song?
I don't remember, but I remember thinking it was sort of thrown out there, and I'm sort of stupid about like the James Bond thing. I hadn't really watched the Pierce Brosnan version. I liked it when I was a kid, and I liked Live and Let Die and that sort of thing.
Live and Let Die is a great song.
Yeah, so the offer was sort of like, yeah, they're talking about you doing a song for James Bond. I thought that meant like any other movie, like, you know, you'll have a song in the movie kind of thing. So I didn't get it. And then they said, no, the main song, it's only one song, and that's the only song they have, and then the rest of it's, you know, orchestral score. And then I started to figure it out. I'm a little slow, I admit. and then I thought, oh, that would be cool, but then I found out it was Daniel Craig who was going to be the new James Bond, and I knew of him and from other movies. And he's actually an unbelievably great actor, technically. Like, he's the best actor to ever be a James Bond. He's accomplished. He doesn't have to do that. He can do anything. And then I thought, well, this could be amazing. And they let me see a rough edit, which they weren't even finished shooting yet. They let me see part of the film, and I thought this is going to be incredible. So yeah, I really, really want to do this. And then I took it seriously, and I did my best to do a good job.
So you didn't want to do like Casino Royale?
The first question I asked when you know we got serious to talk about it, the first thing was, I don't want it to be a contest. So if you're considering other people and you're waiting to see who puts in the best song, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
So if it's
never
just
crush
me,
it.
I promise you I'll do a great job if it's just me. But then the next question was, what's the name of the movie? Because if it's something like Thunderball, the song writes itself.
Yeah.
It's easy. You know?
Yeah.
How's that going to be hard? You know. So I thought it was going to be something really cool. I was going to write a song like Octopussy or something. It was going to be really easy.
You should have just wrote a song called
Should've.
Octopus.
Just take it back.
Yeah, it was Casino Royale, and then I thought, oh, now I have to work because I have to come up with something.
Some kind of espionage, some kind of other kind of worldly thing.
Yeah.
And what about Johnny Cash doing one of your songs? When did that call happen? That had to freak you out.
That happened on the first round of Rick Rubin doing a Johnny Cash record thing, where Rick Rubin actually asked me to do an arrangement for Johnny Cash, and I honestly didn't understand. And I tried to do like an acoustic version somehow, thinking that I could maybe change it a little bit, and it just sounded retarded. And I told Rick Rubin that. I said, I tried it, it doesn't work, and I think you're stupid. and
Good
so
inspiration out of you all the time. Just at the first notion, you are an inspired man.
And it turns out I was stupid, because then the next record round, I hear that somebody else did it, and he's doing Rusty Cage. And I still am thinking, how's that going to work? And then I hear it, and they go doom 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 doom, and then he sings Rusty Cage, and I thought, oh, I'm stupid. That's how you do it. You do it like any other Johnny Cash song, and he sang it, and it was great. And he actually got like rock radio airplay from it, and he was really excited about it. So I got to meet him, which was really scary. Because my brother brought home like Live at San Quentin when I was 9 years old, and I listened to that, so it was sort of that weird. It would be like meeting Muhammad Ali or something. I didn't know what to say.
That record, that Rusty Cage, Johnny Cash doing it, was what got me into Johnny Cash. Because I had heard of him, and my grandparents listened to Johnny Cash. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But it didn't stick to my bones until I started hearing him doing stuff like that.
Rick Rubin did an amazing thing where he sat Johnny Cash in a room in his own living room, actually, put a mic up and said, I'm just going to record you straight to a DAT tape, singing some of the songs that we can listen to later and decide what's going to be on your record. And then when he was done doing that, he said, okay, actually, this is your record. And that's what they put out in the first one. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah.
So him just doing whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah, and just in a room with a microphone in front of him and an acoustic guitar. And that was the first record that came out that Rick Rubin did, and then he did subsequent ones. But they're all great. The video where he does the
Hurt.
that's just like heart wrenching to see that video and hear him sing that song. And it was filmed inside the now closed down. It was even then closed down Johnny Cash Museum somewhere. I don't know where it is. So it showed like gold records that had fallen off the wall and the glass was broken. And June Carter Cash had died by then, and he's playing the piano and singing the song. And it's like, oh my God, it was incredible and inspiring. But I'm not sure I ever want to see it again.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough video
It's
to
really
watch, isn't it?
depressing.
Yeah.
Cool voice, man. Like you're hearing you talk, like cool voice.
Oh, thank you.
So check this out. I would go weird or anything, but you know how like there's like lead singers of bands like that dude, lead singer of Cars. He's really ugly. He's
Rick Ocasek.
He's got a really hot wife,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times you think these bands get these hot wives. They normally wouldn't get the hot wife because they're not good looking, but because they're in a rock band. Like the guy, like Pete Wentz. You know what I mean? Like if you
Yes.
saw Pete Wentz at a Starbucks, if he worked at Home Depot, you wouldn't go, that's a good looking dude. But you're like a good-looking dude. Like if you worked at Home Depot, you'd probably get chicks anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And I see that you're married and stuff. So I mean, is your wife, is she famous? B, is she like totally like supermodel hot?
She's completely supermodel hot.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you know?
I mean,
her
you can
real-
probably find her on a computer somewhere.
Oh,
and
yeah?
Pictures of her.
Lucky,
What's her name?
Lucky John Jay.
Just like, you know what? Go to
Hotchicks.com.
yeah.
God, come on.
Just Google like, or just go images of Chris and Vicky Cornell, and you'll probably get a whole list of them. And
Now, did you hook up with her like when you were already famous?
I met her in Paris actually, and she kind of vaguely knew who I was, but not really. And this was like 6 years ago.
That's
Oh, so
cool.
you're
And it was
newly
really
married
great
then.
that she didn't really know who I was.
Yeah, and then they're not all affected. And
So that was post
No, I had to work very
Ooh.
hard. I had to work very hard at
the romance.
yeah, which is the way it should be.
Dude, she's way hot.
Yeah, it wasn't because you know what happens, and this is no joke. Like,
Look at you holding her purse here.
I've
oh,
had, yeah.
you are.
I
That's
mean,
cute.
Well, I'm a nice guy.
You won't hold his wife's
and I love
purse.
her dearly.
I'm not a big
That's
purse holder. I think I don't know what it is. It just oozes me out a little bit.
You're kind of a little bit
You're not,
older.
maybe you need to be just a little more comfortable and
In my-
confident.
Dude,
My
your wife says,
masculinity.
oh, hold my purse, honey. You're like, I'm one of the biggest rock stars in the world. I don't know, and it doesn't matter. You're like, my wife told me to hold her purse. I'm holding her purse.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
It should be. I don't know. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah,
I'm just not there
I don't
yet. I should be. I know I should be.
Somewhere, and I know, and it certainly was not like an example set to me by my father, but somewhere I learned to be a gentleman. I think
Wow.
I think it's something. You know,
Calm down.
There's a story that happened to me when I was a kid. I used to take the city bus to school because I went to a school for bad kids that get kicked out of school. So they didn't have like a school bus that picks you up, and I was waiting to get on the bus, and there were a couple of old ladies, and I cut in front of them to go up onto the bus. And the bus driver, who looked like Santa Claus, he said, "What are you doing, son? You get down out of the bus and let the ladies on." And I got down off the bus and let the ladies on, and then I came on. So the very next day, I'm waiting, and it's the same ladies and me and the same Santa Claus bus driver, and the door opens, and I let the ladies go on first, and then I went up, and the driver looked at me and said, "Now, didn't that make you feel good?"
Aww.
And I thought, yeah, I guess he's kind of right. And that Santa Claus bus driver sort of taught me this huge life lesson then. I was probably 13 years old.
Do you write a song? Santa Claus bus driver.
Come together
Wow.
with.
We can do it now, the three of us. Ready?
People
Okay,
on
I
the
think-
bus go up and down. Santa Claus bus driver.
You know what I think is kind of cool about you? It's going to sound like a total dork 90s music fan and let it. But everything that I think that you've done, for me, it gets inside my guts when you sing and really go for it. Everything from Soundgarden to Temple of the Dog. I can tell that you care about the product that you're putting out there and that you just won't record a song because it's a song. You got to feel something off it.
No, actually, I get into this thing where if I write a song or start working on something that I don't like, I start to kind of feel sick to my stomach, and then there's that little bit of kind of I'm going to vomit into my mouth. Kind of,
Wow.
I'm like, ooh, I don't know, that's not going to be good.
Do you
That's
sell those
cool.
songs to somebody that you
No.
you just they never see the light of day?
I like burn song lyrics and erase things so people will never hear it.
What's a song that you haven't written that you hear on the radio, that you've heard on the radio, and you think, I wish to God that was a Chris Cornell song?
That happens to me all the time. I've heard like there were a lot of Beck songs where I'd hear that and think I wish that I could like write a song with that type of attitude and with lyrics that are like that playful, you know. And then when you hear something like that and then you sit down and try to do that, it never works. It has to happen sort of all by itself. And then, you know, those kind of anthems that are somewhat political, but just still, they're not so political that you can't just rock to it. That's hard to just do on purpose too. That has to just kind of happen.
Like Spoon Man.
No, that's not political. That's
not
actually
political.
just sort of, you know, about a guy that plays spoons.
Hey, on the phone, Timbaland.
Awesome.
Timbaland, you're on the phone. John D. and Rich, Chris Cornell.
Hey. How you doing?
Well, we woke your ass up.
That's Tim chilling full time. What's up?
Oh, that's the worst.
So you're back here. Last time I was on the radio with Timbaland, he was on the beach in south of France. So all you can hear is like the wind and the ocean, and so now you're back jet lagging.
Where are you?
Oh, in Miami, all right. You on the studio bus? Last time we hung out with Timberland was right before his solo album came out. He was talking to us about doing Duran Duran's CD.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, let's hear it. He said, you know what? They don't have anything hooked up on the stupid bus. Let me try it. So he's trying to hook up stuff. He's like, you know what? Never mind. I'll just tell you how it goes. He starts going, that's what it feels like when you come up for air. When you come up. I'm like, man, that sounds like that's going to be great. So the album comes out and it's brilliant.
But that's also when he said, you're not going to believe who I'm working with, man. He goes, I'm working with a bunch of people you're not going to believe who I'm working with. And then that's when, was that song, the One Republic song came out?
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's talking about working with you too, because he was like, you're not, when the stuff comes out, he might even name drop then. He was like, boom, boom, boom. We're like, whoa.
And how do you and Chris meet?
It was like over the phone for the first time. Yeah, and it was just talking about making a whole album, you know, as opposed to doing a couple songs, because I wanted to go in with and make a Chris Cornell Timbaland album with the whole thing, and we were talking about maybe doing a couple songs and see how it goes, and I just felt confident, like just from what I'd heard about Timbaland, he is very creative. All he does is work on music. He loves music, and that's what he does, and that's what I do. So I just knew that if we got into a room together, that's what was going to happen, and that's what happened.
So what do you do, right? Like you got a yellow pad and you write down a song and then you sit down with Timbaland and you go, what do you think is a good beat for this? Or do you have it in your head and you kind of tell him?
Tim would bring in a beat, and then I would sit down actually with a yellow pad, for real, and write lyrics, and he would bring in ideas. I would like come up with ideas, sing over it. He would come in the next day, listen to what I did, play me a new thing, and would just kind of boom, boom, boom. Like,
Was there ever any kind of like argument? Like he'd say, man, I like this beat here. And you're like, no, you know what, man, the lyric means this. Is there any of that kind of conversation?
That never happened. I was psyched the whole time. Like everything that we were doing, I was totally into.
Well, he's such a genius.
Exactly. Tim's a complete genius, and the album even went into a direction for me that was kind of a dream come true, where you know you put me with someone like Tim, who people think of as like a hip hop or a pop producer, and we made like the most album oriented album of my career.
Really?
Nice.
Where it's really a record that's more like Pink Floyd's The Wall or Queen's Night at the Opera.
I'm
than
totally
just
in.
like an album with pop songs. But if you take the songs out of the context, they're great songs.
They still work.
Are there songs that can be played on the radio and be hits? And,
Absolutely, all day long.
Yeah, Timbaland only knows how to make hits.
I know, I was
Yeah.
going to say, he knows no other way to go.
That's all there is to it. Well, that's got to be cool to feel. Is it weird being out of a band setting though? Because you've been in that world for so long.
I've done a lot of different things. I mean, the way that I worked with Timbaland is kind of like working with another band member, you know, in a sense, because it's all creative. It's not just Timbaland, the producer, definitely is more hands-on than any producer I've ever worked with, but also, you know, has creative ideas and musical ideas that other producers don't have because they don't do that.
So what happens tonight when people go see you? Do they get any of the Audio Slave? Do they get any Temple of Dog? Do you reach down and pick the crowd up? That's just for Chris.
Not with that. Not with that song specifically. Yeah, I do some songs from different albums as much as I can fit into an hour because we're only playing an hour.
Oh, okay.
And I'm doing a couple new songs too from Scream.
Cool.
Timbaland, thanks for being on the program, man. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
You know, I remember hanging in his bus. And I remember at one point talking to him, and I can't remember, he said like a whole sentence of stuff. We're like, what?
I got the
He's
draw.
got the southern thing going.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of his liner he did. You remember? It was,
Yeah.
Obi's has it. I remember his liner was like really long, like, just, wasn't it?
Like real stream of consciousness
Yeah.
stuff.
Let's hear, hey, Obi, you have it? Listen to this, Chris.
Dude, I don't know. My dad he was all over the place.
Carrie's dad was all like Joan Baez.
Oh, dude. Dan Fogelberg.
and
He's like a tall black dude. It was very weird.
I got a shoulder rub by Joan Baez,
What?
and I didn't ask for it.
That's
And
right.
I, to this day, have never met her. She was not introduced to me. I did not introduce myself to her. She did not introduce herself to me. She just came up at a show
That's
and started giving me a shoulder
that's
rub.
creepy.
And she's like, Grandma now.
How do you know who it is at that point?
Well, we had done this show. It was called Gathering of the Tribes. It kind of was right before Lollapalooza happened. It was that idea that was started by.
What was it, Gathering of the
Ian,
Tribes?
Yeah, it was started by Ian from the Cult. It was
Yeah.
his
I was there.
idea.
You know?
Lollapalooza was basically Ian Asbury's idea.
Yeah.
Ice-T was there, right?
Yeah. And Ice-T was there, and
Was that
Del
but
Mar?
he did like an even more eclectic thing. Like Ian had the Cramps, he had Joan Baez, he had Soundgarden, he had Ice-T. Like he really mixed it up. It was no joke. And this was back in the day in Soundgarden when if I got angry on stage, I would like smash stuff. So I smashed stuff, and then walking back to the dressing room, I think I smashed something on the way. And then, but that's all over with, and it's all done, and I'm not angry anymore. I was
Worked it
in my
out.
20s. So I'm sitting and I'm eating,
God, we should do
I'm
this.
like
and I'm
moving
watching
stuff.
the screen. You know, I'm watching the Cramps perform now. You know, and the Cramps do weird stuff on stage.
They keep
You
the
know, with
microphone up his ass.
exactly, and that's
How
happening.
was that? But
And
was
I'm
he
eating,
yelling?
and I hear
that show?
Joan Baez talking behind me, and she comes up behind me while I'm eating, and she just starts giving me this Earth Mother hippie kind of shoulder.
That's
And I'm not
creepy.
that kind of guy. Like I don't want someone I don't know, that I've never talked to even, just showing up and giving me a shoulder rub. That's not like, I'm not
You're like
that.
personal bubble.
So
please.
I stopped eating. I'm not hungry anymore. I'm just trying to get through this.
Need to smash something.
Like Joan Baez is giving me a shoulder rub. Like, what did she think? That okay, it's all gonna be okay.
Yeah, give
Now
me the
after
energy.
the shoulder rub, yeah, you're gonna have some groovy energy and you're gonna chill out and probably ever do it again in your life.
It was Gathering of the Tribes a
Yes.
tour or one
It
concert?
was two shows, I think.
I went to the one, I was an intern at 91X in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I remember we took a bus of listeners to LA to Gather the Tribes, and I had no idea what it was. And I'm at the Cramp show, and the guy shoving the mic up his ass in like a high heel shoes
Yeah.
and underwear.
Right,
Wait,
right.
what?
And that's when
Yes.
I got up on stage with Ice-T. And he
You
gave
and
me-
Ice-T.
Yes,
Body
body
count.
count.
Yeah.
And they sang, it was Colors, and he gets cuffed at the end.
Yeah.
They cuff him at the end, and he took his hat off, and he handed me his hat. It said Syndicate on it, and I still have the hat. And so I put the hat on, and
Hey,
That
so
was
he's
during the
like
cop
the musical
killer period.
Forrest Gump.
yeah.
Yeah.
And backstage, there was an all-you-can-eat buffet,
Yeah.
and Drew Barrymore was there.
Yeah.
So was that the cut? So that was
Yeah, that wasn't the one where I got the shoulder rub. That
Seriously,
was a
he's
different
like Forrest Gump.
one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he shows up everywhere.
And I was sitting there with that Syndicate hat on, eating, and Drew Barrymore was there, and she said something.
She's still like a little kid then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't like 13, but she had to be
No,
like
but she wasn't,
18, 19,
yeah.
20 or something. And it was like an all-day, it was like one of the coolest concerts. I had no idea
That was
what
his.
I was in store for.
Ian really kind of invented that.
Did that end up at Del Mar Fairgrounds? Because I saw you guys at Del Mar Fairgrounds
I really
or
don't know.
something.
Yeah, that's when they
Racetrack
we
in
went to 2 shows.
in San Diego.
Did he have that beard and stuff, or just the long hair and a goatee? Because that dude went through some like, I remember, I met him a few
He got
times.
kind of Indian inspired after a while.
He was Jim. He was Jim Morrison guy. That's why he became the singer of the Doors.
Huh?
Ian was he toured with the Doors like a
Yeah,
couple years
3 years ago.
I didn't know
Did a
that.
pretty good job too, didn't
I
he?
never
Stuart
saw
Copeland
it.
was a drummer.
Really?
Get out of here.
The Doors with Stuart Copeland? That's a little weird.
should've-
Since
should've had
the
this
real
all
drummer's alive.
Didn't have a vote. Do you videotape that whole stuff? I can go in behind the music.
Behind the who?
Fascinating you are, Chris Cornell. Fascinating.
It's John J. and Rich. Chris Cornell's in the studio, just talking during commercials and just great stories. Unbelievable. You're a pretty cool dude, man.
Thank you.
You've gotten through because your band probably you were at the beginning stages of grunge with the Nirvana and Alice in Chains and the Seattle scene. You could have easily disappeared, and here you are,
Yeah.
still thriving.
I actually maybe one of the secrets is because we were actually the oldest. Soundgarden was the oldest band by far of all of those bands, just by the sheer fact that we were a band for at least 3 years before we could release anything. So our first record was on Sub Pop, but we'd been a band for 3 years already. We'd already written a whole bunch of songs and then trashed them, and then wrote new ones, and that was kind of our first release. But we didn't have like overnight success. We did the hard, long van tours around the country several times, where I drove and we were our own roadies, and we had a sound man and had $1,000 for the whole tour to pay for gas and eat, and we did it that way. So when success starts to happen, you don't take it for granted, and realizing, and this is the important thing. Like, I get to write songs and record them and make records with a guy like Timbaland, for example, and then I get to go out and travel all over the world and play them, and like go to Africa and Asia and South America and Phoenix, and like, I'm just not, I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a great life.
What about you as a normal person? Like, your normal life? Are you based in Seattle, or like where do you live mostly?
We live between Paris and Los Angeles, and then since I worked with Timbaland in Miami, we kind of decided to move there. So I think we're going to be sort of between Paris and Miami.
All right, so like, what house would your kids think is home?
My kids right now kind of have 2 or 3 different places they call home, and that's their life. That's
They're
what they
used to
kind of
that.
get. Yeah.
And living in Paris, is that kind of weird? I mean, 'cause I know Johnny Depp lives in Paris too, but is that weird? Do you get that language?
I can understand it, like, and I can read signs. I know where I'm going. I pretty much get it when people tell me stuff, but I can't speak it.
So
it's
why
not
do you
like
live there?
Because at some point, like, I always wanted to leave the U.S. and live somewhere else, and I went to a lot of different cities in Europe and thought they were amazing, and I think Paris was one of my favorite ones. And B, then I met my wife Vicky there, who lived there, and I started going there to visit her literally every time I had enough days off that it made sense to fly, and I had jet lag for like 2 years just
Wow.
to see her, and we decided early on that we would stay there, and rented, and this is in the Greek tradition, rented an apartment, and then eventually like bought an apartment right above her mom's apartment.
Did you
so
really?
now, yeah, we live, like, when we're in Paris, we live together.
So you get that
And
whole.
then we're
Turn
all
the music
together all
down.
the time. No, it's my mother-in-law's groovy.
That's nice.
Where
She's like,
is your
turn it
wife
up.
and kids now as you're doing all this?
My wife is here, and
Here in AZ?
yeah,
She's with you right now?
she's with me right now.
And the kids
And my
too?
kids are in LA.
Nice.
Oh, really? Who
Yeah.
stays with the kids?
My mother-in-law and my father-in-law. This is a Greek family. This is like.
Yeah, there's no
they-
babysitters.
Sounds cool.
No.
And what about,
No.
and now this is like.
They really make it possible for me to tour as much as I do, to be honest, my in-laws, because they actually will travel with the children, bring them to us sometimes. Like, we were just, when this tour, Project Revolution, was in New York City, my mother and father-in-law came with both our kids, which is not easy to do, like a 3-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl
Trust
on
me.
a plane for whatever it is, 5.5 hours.
Mhm.
They travel well because they're used to it, but still, they make it possible for me to be able to tour as much as I do.
So when you're living in LA, like, I'm just totally curious, because you're like a rock star and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of car do you get into if you're gonna run to 7-Eleven and pick up some milk?
It depends. I have like a lot of different cars.
Oh, really?
So I'm a car guy.
What's like
so,
your fave?
My favorite is I have a '67 Chevy Malibu.
That's gonna be
What
cool.
about, what is the most like
Like an LA car.
badass, tricked out car you have?
That I don't really have anything blown out, tricked out, crazy.
Do you have like the Lambos and all that?
No, I'm not that. I have I have like a Beck Spider, which is basically a reproduction of a Porsche Spider 1955, the one that James Dean crashed and died in. That car, which you can buy it brand new. When I bought it brand new years back, it was like $18,000 for a brand new, like 1955 Porsche, basically. I don't think anyone in any Lamborghini's having more fun in their car than I have in that thing.
So then when you're in Miami, do you have cars there too?
I don't yet. But
What about
I'll
in
probably
Paris?
take a car and move it there, and I'll move like a motorcycle there. In Paris, I have a motorcycle, a French motorcycle actually.
Of course, why not?
But what about now with when you got the
Right.
wife and kids,
Uh-huh.
and you got to put them in the car seats? What kind of car do you get around it?
We have a Range Rover, we have a Jeep, and we have a Bentley.
Is it weird, see if you can share a story that I think we all relate to being parents, but here you are like a rock star, recognized all over the world, and your kids don't know or don't care that you're a rock star, and do you ever you got to put your kid in the car seat and there's like goldfish in the back seat, and there's do you have like kid moments like that?
Yeah, it's the same, as anybody.
Yeah, but it's
Kids are
different when you're like
kids.
a rock star.
No, it's not. It's
No,
the
but to
same.
hear it from a
When it's different is when you have like a bunch of nannies and like security and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's gotta be weird.
Yeah, and the only difference that I've ever noticed is just the fact that, we've had death threats and things like threats on the net that included my children and that kind of
Ooh,
thing.
that's
That
a little
part's
weird.
different.
Yeah.
Because that part you have to worry about and you have to take it seriously, not knowing how serious it is. You have to just basically assume that it's as serious as it seems. That's the different part.
Do your kids say anything funny words, try to sing your music?
My kids sing my music all day.
That's
Really?
cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
Never
gonna
take
be a
it.
trip.
They know the lyrics to a lot of my songs, and from different periods, different records. They really focused on it. a
Do
lot.
you know that like the Temple of the Dog? I don't mind. They do that.
Hunger
Going
strike,
hungry,
is that what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing?
they got it.
That's cool.
Did-
3 and a
Blow that
4-year-old knowing that's cool.
That didn't hurt to hit that note in Hunger Strike, because that's up there, brother.
Dude, I love that song. Man.
No, there was no pain.
Oh, they've been singing that song hours before you got there, back and forth to each other.
Because what's funny and
Yeah.
weird about that song is I remember several years ago, Rich and I talking. I go, you know what song I don't hear very often? Or I said I had just heard it somewhere, and I was like, and I started singing it. And list that out every single. He's like a encyclopedia of rock music. And you know
The
everything.
Rain Man of Rock.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Mr. iPod.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know what my pin number is, but I can tell you, the drummer from the
Right.
Boston band or whatever. I could do all that stuff.
Quiz him on anything musically. Go ahead. Any rock band.
Okay. The original singer of Journey.
Well, before Steve Perry,
Yes.
it was the guy who played Gary. Steve Smith is a drummer. You got the keyboard player.
What's his name?
Is it Gary Auger?
No.
Come on, you bastard.
Give me first name. Give me first name.
Greg.
Greg. Oh yeah, the guy who's singing "You Touch My Life."
Yeah, nice
he's
one,
on
nice one.
Infinity.
Yeah.
He's on Feeling That. Greg Rowley.
There you go.
Nice.
I had to guide you through it a little bit, but you did it.
Sorry, it
And
took me a little while.
He also was a singer on another huge hit in someone else's band before Journey, where he stole Neil Schon from.
Santana.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, very good.
Sarah!
Thank you.
Let's give Chris one then. Come on.
Oh,
I don't know
right.
anything, but I'll try.
No, you know anything. That was random you pulled out. Do you know those guys? Is that why you know that information?
No, I just like those the pre-Steve Perry records. I love.
I
Yeah,
didn't know there was
pretty
a
good.
pre-Steve Perry journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean they were really good.
They're like a sort of B team '70s rock band with them and with like they didn't have hits, but if you listen to it, it's great rock records. The production's great.
Lots of
Neil
flange.
Schon's an amazing guitar player. Lots of flange.
They got some new guy. Did you read about that? Or here's a
that's
new record?
weird.
Yeah.
That is.
No, they had a new guy. Richard brought it in. They had a new guy and he recut their
he's
songs.
Filipino.
Yeah.
He like won a karaoke contest or
Like,
something.
so, and if you close your eyes, it's like it's him.
If you you can go on YouTube and check that guy out doing that, and he's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not Journey though. The way we know Journey though.
No, it's not. It's a little bit karaoke, but a little bit not because the guy actually really sings.
He can sing good.
Yeah. So
Well, speaking of singing, let's hear a little bit of your new song here,
why not?
shall we?
Yeah.
So the album is Scream.
The album is Scream. You're gonna play Long Gone, I think.
I'm ready.
And this is Timbaland's on this one?
Yes.
Like he produced it, can you hear him going?
Probably,
Only got 4 minutes.
All right, Chris Cornell in the studio. Thanks, dude. Thanks a lot for coming out, man.
My pleasure.
Real a pleasure to meet you, truly.
Thank you.
Here's Chris Cornell, John Jay and Rich.
Review it though.
Okay. After this. Perfect. Again, just so you listen to it, enjoy it. I don't want anything. I just want to share the music. Thank you.
He's been in band since he was like 12.
We've been in the same band, same members since 1989.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, how come you weren't in that?
I have no talent.
You could have done that. What's the egg? You could have done the egg.
Hey, Rick.
That's not that easy. Don't kid yourself.
Yes,
I've tried to do that on my own recordings.
Really? You're like, screw it.
Didn't know if you heard me. Can I just grab that CD? Cool. You guys
Picture.
need some more MySpace programs here?
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. Let me grab a pic.
Get out there.
Yeah. Wait, yeah, did you see it? Look at that picture.
No, I did not. Richard?
She is like negative.
Rachel?
Negative 2.
Hey man, that was great. Such a great
She's
hair.
so skinny.
We had an odd handshake there, but
Which puts a dark hue on the whole morning.
I know. We were vibing. We're talking about Journey. Look at
It was really great, and then there was a weird handshake, and
pinky
then
thing. It's like a lingering finger.
Dude, I totally had the Greg Raleigh thing. I was like,
thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. What time you going?
7:55, 7:50.
I only brought one, I'm sorry. But I would have brought more, I should have.
I like your hat, man. That's a cool look. It's just
I know,
without the
try
hat.
to check out your tattoo. Your tattoo.
Have a safe trip.
What's on the front? Like your shit.